So this was the example that Ethan put in the chat, where it gives me a vertex, which would be H and K.
Yep.
And
gives you another point.
I need another point to write my y equals a x minus h squared plus k. You need to know that. It's not going to be given to you. But it does give me another point. It gives me the y-intercept is -1. What point is that?
0, -1.
0, -1, because if it's the y-intercept, the x is always 0, correct?
Yes.
So in this equation right here, there are 5 variables, h, k, x, y, and a, yes?
Yeah.
And I have an h, a k, an x, and a y, so should I be able to solve for a?
Yes.
Yes. So how do I do that?
Oh, you
Plug it all in.
plug it all in.
Plug it all in.
Solve.
So -1 equals a, and then x is 0 minus a -2 squared plus 3. You notice I don't have plus or minus a on there because when we do this calculation, that comes out in the math. So don't put the plus or minus there. It just will mess you up trying to deal with it. Okay, so 2 squared is 4. Subtract 3, so -4 equals 4a, so a equals
1.
-1.
Yeah. I knew that.
So y equals -x plus 2 squared plus 3. And there's my answer. Which you had to do in your homework last night. Wasn't very difficult, correct?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Can we also
I figured out what's
solve it
going on.
down?
No? Solve it down for what?
Or not really solve it down, just describe it.
Oh, yes, you should describe it, just for practice. But the description would be it opens down, right?
Yep.
So it opens down, it's the same.
Yep.
0, 0 goes to -2,
2, 3.
3. Axis of symmetry.
-2.
Min or max?
It'll be min. No max. because it
Max.
opens down.
Is it x equals -2? Domain is
All
All real
numbers.
numbers.
All real
X such
numbers.
that all real
Such that one.
and range.
Y
Since it's
such
going
that
down,
Y is
it'll be
numbers.
y
Three.
says that y is less than or equal to 3.
You guys are experts.
Yes, too good.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep, we better just move on to calculus.
Do we need to do another one like that?
No.
No.
Because we're going to be doing more like every single one. Yes.
There was one of the problems on the assignment had like a 2 for the A.
Mhm.
How'd you graph that?
Well, you wouldn't graph it, but it would be narrower. Because it didn't say graph it, did it?
I don't think so.
If
but I
it
did
said
catch
graph it, you would just make it narrower.
Okay. Which, if you would find the next points, you'd probably figure out that would be narrow on accident.
Right, if you would find points, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
How come wider?
No, it would be narrower. Think about it, because if you're doing 2 times, you're changing it 2 times the rate. So wouldn't that go narrower?
So if
Go
you
up
drop it and then you zoom in the speed, then it will fall faster. So then you
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Just agree with them.
Yep.
Yeah, just agree with me.
Okay, So we're going to do that same procedure several times today, so I'm not going to do another one. You seem to know what you were doing. Okay, so the height of a thrown ball is a quadratic function of time it has been in the air. The graph of a quadratic function is a parabolic path of a ball. If you think about it, every single sport you play, whether you kick, hit, throw a ball, what kind of a shape is that?
Arc.
It's an arc.
Dice.
Parabola.
It's a reflected parabola, yes?
Yeah.
I don't care how much somebody tells you that they throw a perfect spiral that's perfectly straight, it's not.
It's always gonna have
It's always going to have, well, first of all, you have gravity, yes?
Yeah.
So it's always eventually going to do that. And then I've had people go, well, what about a golf ball? Okay, when I hit the golf ball, it is a positive
That's
parabola,
even more
yes?
of a parabola.
Then when it hits its vertex, it then does what?
goes down.
Goes down. So it's actually more like a sine wave or a cosine wave, but the shape, you could take it and put 2 parabolas together, one being a reflected parabola and one being a normal. So anyway, we have this thing called gravity. What goes up has to come down, and usually it's in the shape of a parabola. So we're throwing this ball. Why does it start here at 4?
Because it's thrown from that height.
Yeah, the person is at
That
4
tall.
foot. Their hand is at 4 foot or whatever, right? I'm not on at 0 throwing the ball. So it tells me the height, the max is 120. So what is that?
That's how high it goes before it starts to
Yeah, but on the parabola, what is it?
the maximum.
Yeah, but it's the
Vertex.
vertex, right?
Yeah.
So I have the vertex and I have a starting point. Can I write an equation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it wants an equation in vertex form. And it wants an equation like this, which is known what kind of form?
Standard.
Standard. So we're always going to do the vertex form first and then go to standard. Okay, so vertex, I'm just going to plug it in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's y?
Why?
0, 4.
20.
4. What is 20?
Oh, it's the movement. It's the
Yep,
K.
K. This is K. This is H. This is
That's
X.
and Y.
This
Y.
is Y. Okay, so 4 equals A times
0.
0 minus
H. 1
20.
1
squared plus 20.
plus 20. So negative 1 squared is 1. So 4 equals A plus 20. So A equals negative 16.
Yo.
Am I going too fast?
No.
Maybe just a little bit.
So if A is 20 and I have my H and my K, my vertex, and I would suggest labeling so you remember which one is which. Because I will ask for a problem in standard form, I will ask for it in vertex form, and I'm not going to tell you what that is. Either one. Okay, so vertex form is going to be y equals what? Negative 16.
X squared. X. Oh, vertex. Okay, yeah. It is X minus 1 squared plus 20. I was not thinking that.
Okay, you guys had me scared.
I was staring at the standard form like, that doesn't look right.
Okay, so the reason why I go to vertex form first is now all I have to do to get to standard form is what?
Factor.
Nope, it's already vectored.
Oh.
What? No? I have to take care
Oh,
of
yeah.
this. Yes? I have to take care of this and then distribute negative 16 into it. And there was a reason why I made you do that Khan Academy where it had the sum when they squared something. So you could kind of get that pattern. If not, you just FOIL it out like you would normally FOIL it out, right? So now we're going to take this up here and we're going to have negative y equals negative 16. And when we FOIL this out, you should get x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 20.
Yeah.
Okay? When you FOIL that out. Because remember, you square the first, right?
Yep.
You take the first times the second and multiply it by 2. So that would be negative 2. And then you square the last. That was the pattern on Khan Academy that they showed you. If not, I FOIL it out, right? I go x minus 1 times x minus 1, and I FOIL it out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now what do I do?
Distributive property.
Distribute. So negative 16x squared plus 32x minus 16 plus 20.
Yeah.
Like terms.
Good. Combine like terms. So negative 16 x squared plus 32 x plus 4.
Yep.
And what form is this?
Standard.
Standard.
form.
Well, that was
Now, you're going to do that several times. That's the rest of our examples, basically.
boy.
Okay. Now, the reason we did vertex form first, because it's pretty easy to get into vertex form, correct?
Mhm.
And it's not difficult to get it into standard form for there, but we just have to do the process.
Would it be harder to do standard form first? And then
Yeah, you
vertex?
wouldn't do standard form first. You wouldn't. Not unless they just gave it to you mixed up. You always write vertex 1 first. We're even going to practice because we can graph from here very, very easily. We cannot graph from there very, very easily. We will learn some methods that we have to do that, and we will do it. But once you have the vertex form, it's just really just kind of goes. So we will actually do a process called completing the square to go from standard form to vertex form. Okay, so the graph shows the height of a flying disc, which would represent of time, respect, not represent, of time. What is the equation of the function? So, write it vertex and write it into standard again. So, what do I got? Where's my H and my K?
K are 2 and 10.
2 and 10.
Y 0 1 4 equal.
Okay, so I have what?
4 equals A
Parentheses
0
0
minus 2 squared plus 10.
Okay, so negative 2 squared is 4. Subtract 10, right? So A is negative 3 over 2, and you will have fractions.
Dang.
That's a rip. So then
Okay, so now I have A. What do I do with it?
y equals
Not Y equals this time.
x.
F of X, because they said F of X, right? So F of X equals
Negative 2/3.
-2/3.
Then x minus 2 squared plus 10.
Okay, so I have my what form?
Vertex.
Vertex. And I need my
Standard.
standard. So what do I have to do to get standard?
Do the whole.
I have to FOIL, then distribute, right?
Yep.
So F of X equals negative 3/2. When I FOIL this out, I get square the first. Multiply them together, times 2,
4, negative 4x,
and then square the last.
4.
Now it's so nice because 2 goes into 4 and we won't have a fraction except on the first one, right? That's cool. Okay, so now I distribute, right? So I have negative 3/2 x squared. So half of 4 is 2, negative 2, and negative 3 is 6. Half of 4 is 2, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6.
Well, hold on, how'd you do that?
Because I took negative 3/2 times 4. 4 goes into 2 twice, and 2 times 3 is 6.
Oh,
Always reduce before you multiply. Always better numbers. And then combine like terms, right?
Mhm.
So f of x equals negative 3/2 x squared plus 6x plus 4. So what kind of form is that?
Standard.
Standard. Oops. So standard form and vertex form. Again, not over difficult. Like, it's not difficult. Is it going to improve those skills to be able to do what I just did, move our things around? And it's always good when we can improve our skills that are going to be used later on in our mathematics life. Questions? Guess what you're going to do? Again. Okay, this problem is kind of confusing. It took me a minute before. We have to use the graph. Okay, it says the function g is a translation of the parent function f. 1 unit left and 3 units up. What is the graph of g? What is the equation of g? Excuse me. Write the quadratic equation in vertex form and standard form. So it gives me the vertex. Where's my vertex?
Negative line.
Negative 1, 3.
Negative 1, 3, because it tells me 1 unit left, right? So I have my h and my k. It didn't tell me a point, did it? So I said you have to use the graph. So
Well, it has a y-intercept of 4.
as a y-intercept of 4, couldn't they get more imaginative than 4 all the time? So now I have an x and a y, correct? So go,
Why do I have to do it?
because I've done it already.
You're a math teacher.
And I know how to do it, so I don't need to do it anymore.
But I know how
Trying
to
to
do
keep
it
you
too.
sharp.
Why do I have to do it?
Because you don't know how to do it.
How do you know?
You want to take the test today?
No, not
Oh,
really.
yes.
Yes, I really do. No, just joking. Please don't.
Be quiet. Do wrong.
That was rude.
I said be quiet. I could say
Doesn't mean it
something
was
worse.
nice.
I'm like, I could say something worse.
Well, you could, doesn't mean.
Do it. I
Do
dare
it
you.
then.
Okay, shush.
Oh, that was so much worse.
I'm crying.
You don't know what I'm saying in my head.
I can imagine.
It probably isn't very good.
Probably. She's just joking. I said just joking.
Got the problem done yet?
No,
Yeah,
Go.
part of-
I did go. I'm just figuring it out slowly. I think. I hope.
Okay. Sorry.
Nope, perfect. Okay, did you guys get x plus 1 squared plus 3?
Yes, I did.
Now, you got your standard form yet?
I do.
No, I don't.
And it was fairly easy because you had 1 as the thing.
Yeah. When you have 1, it kind of cuts down a little bit, right?
Yeah. I think. I hope.
What? 4.
Yeah,
One
plus
plus
three
three
is
is
four.
Wait, what? I got 2 for
You did.
Oh, 1 squared.
Because 1 times 1 is 1. And I can give you a hard time about that because in 5th hour I said it was 2 also.
Yeah, I'm not messing up.
Joe and I had 5,
Now you're throwing.
and Tayton and Brad had 4.
Came back.
And I had to admit that Tayton and Brad were right.
Wow.
Okay, so what form is this?
That is vertex 4.
Vertex. And what form is this?
Standard.
Standard. Okay, now, on the next slide, we're still transforming F. Got it? And when we talked about it, we discussed nothing, it says nothing about it getting narrower or wider or anything, right? So our A was what? 1.
Yeah.
So our A is going to stay 1 on the next 2. So we don't have to recalculate our A.
That's handy.
Got it. Okay. Because this threw me off. It did. It took me like forever to figure out how, because I can't calculate it. They don't give me enough information. But if I know I'm just translating F, I know that my A is 1. I already calculated. Okay,
I think that's supposed to be
that is a J.
What else would it be? I guess
It
squiggly
looks
eye.
like a J to me.
Back
I guess
to
you might
Oh,
not be
with
able
the
to see
J
the
and the question
tail.
mark together. Okay, I can see that. Okay, so what is the equation J? Write the equation in vertex form and in standard form. Let J be a quadratic function whose graph is a translation 2 units to the right and 5 units down of the graph F. Graph F was my parent function, correct? Yes? You're not acting like you believe me.
I
F.
completely believe you. You don't have to show us.
F is the parent function, right there. Okay. So, what do I know?
Well, you know that your vertex is at -2, -5. No, right is positive. 2, -5.
-5. We get there. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I already said A is what?
1.
1. We calculated it. We proved it to ourselves, right? We weren't told that was the parent function the first time, but after we found A was 1, it's the parent function, right? So A is 1. So now that I know that, do I have to really do any calculations to put this in vertex form?
No.
No. Vertex form is going to be Y equals what?
Oh,
In parentheses,
X plus 2.
X
Minus 2.
2 minus 5 squared minus 5. Done.
Kale, you're having a hard time with those pluses and minuses.
No, I know what I'm doing. I wrote it
Okay.
down right.
Okay. So now I have what form?
Vertex.
Vertex. I need what?
Standard.
Standard. Do it.
Where'd you get the A from again?
Because we already calculated back here that A was 1. So we already know that A is 1. Because all we're doing is taking this F, the red, and we're translating it or reflecting it, but we're not doing anything else.
So it's always going to be 1.
Not right now, because it didn't tell us any other information. We calculated the A, so we're still moving the same graph.
You just assume that it's 1.
Right, because we're taking this graph that we already calculated to be 1 and are moving it around. So we're not assuming we know it's 1. Any other graph, you would have to find it first and then go from there. Okay, so I'm going to use my rule, right? Square the first, and this one's y, right? Okay, square the first, multiply the 2 together, times 2, square the last, and did you get x squared minus 4x minus 3?
No, 2 squared is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's wrong.
I said squared, didn't I? And then I didn't write it down.
You got the wrong answer though.
I know.
So your sign is invalid.
Yep.
Yeah, plus 4 minus 5.
And that'd be nice.
There.
Yeah,
Better?
I
What
got
form
that.
is that?
Standard.
Standard.
I got that one. I'm smart. Good brain.
Okay,
Pretty sure we all got that.
now the next one. Let J be a quadratic function whose graph is a reflection of graph F over the x-axis.
Too many big words.
For you
Okay,
have
so what does that do
reflected
to my A?
That makes it negative. So
It makes
it's
it
negative
negative.
So it's negative.
Okay, and the translation is 1 unit down.
Have,
So it opens down, we know that, right?
yes.
So A is going to be, we'll say -1, but A's are really negative, right? We know that. Okay. And what's my vertex?
0,
Zero,
-1.
negative
0, -1.
1. Now solve.
So put it in your vertex form. You should put it in there and go, what?
Yeah.
Two more.
It should be 18.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So
vertex form is basically
Negative 1A.
Negative x
0, 0,
squared
0.
minus 1.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, your
Oh,
vertex.
yeah. How? I hope.
Or your standard form.
Well, it's both.
Yeah.
Because vertex form would be negative x minus 0 squared minus 1, yes? But would we leave x minus 0 in an equation?
No.
No. Now the book would say this is the right answer. Because technically that is vertex form. But wouldn't we always reduce that? I
Probably.
mean, we wouldn't leave a 0 there, would we?
No.
No. So in this case, our vertex and standard form are the same, aren't they? My R, cursive R. My vertex and standard form are the same. Could I leave the 0 there if I wanted to?
Probably, but
Yeah, it just looks kind of icky,
waste
doesn't
of
it?
space.
Yeah,
But I
burn
do
paper.
need to recognize the fact that the h is 0 because there is no parentheses around that x, correct? There is nothing grouped with the x, so this number right here is the k, isn't it? So if it's not grouped with the x, it's not the h. And that's all I got for you today. So you have the rest of the time to get started on your homework and work.
Half time of class.
May I use the